Welcome to the Global WarWatch Network. Israel's Elbit Systems just landed a $260 million deal to equip German A400M aircraft with high-tech defense, our directed infrared countermeasures, the future of airborne survival. Let's break it down. Today, our mission is to really unpack a critical defense procurement. It's definitely making waves. This isn't just, about the money changing hands. It gives us a real window into how air warfare is evolving and also how these international defense partnerships are getting stronger. We've been looking into comprehensive reports, intelligence briefings, too, to bring you the most crucial insights. So throughout our discussion, we'll explore the details, the actual nuts and bolts of this agreement. We'll peel back the layers on the technology, which is pretty sophisticated stuff, and then we'll try to connect those dots, understand the bigger picture for Germany's military capabilities and, well, the whole global defense landscape, which is always shifting. It's a really fascinating look at how nations are adapting to, modern threats.
Exactly. This isn't just another contract crossing someone's desk. Not at all. It's a big strategic decision. It really underscores a proactive approach, protecting vital air assets. And the threat environment now is just, well, increasingly complex. Dangerous, even. It's about ensuring operability, resilience.
Okay, so let's get right into the heart of it then. The announcement itself, we're talking about a major deal, Germany and Elbit Systems. Elbit, of course, is that international defense electronics company based in Israel. And like you said, it's not routine. It signals a pretty substantial investment, aimed squarely at boosting Germany's aerial defense capabilities, but in a very specific area, one that maybe doesn't always get the headlines.
That's spot on. And the specifics here really matter. Elbit Systems is the supplier, the deal value $260 million. Pretty hefty. The system itself is called the JM Music Suite. That's Elbit's Directed Infrared Countermeasures System, DIRCM for short. State-of-the-art stuff. And these are going on to the German Air Force. The Luftwaffe's fleet of Airbus A400M military transport aircraft, Airbus Defense and Space Division, they'll be handling the integration. The actual decision came from Germany's procurement agency, the Federal Office for Equipment, Information Technology and Operations of the Bundeswehr. Quite a mouthful, but that's the official body. What's also quite striking is the timeline. All these systems. Expected delivery within 6 years. That's from the announcement date, July 28, 2025, which for a contract of this size and, frankly, complexity is actually quite a rapid turnaround.
6 years. Yeah, $250 million worth of the advanced tech. That speed, like you said, it does suggest maybe some urgency from Germany's perspective. But let's zoom in on the aircraft itself, the A400M, because I think for a lot of people, when you talk about advanced self-protection for military planes, they immediately think fighter jets, right? Fast movers. Why is this specific aircraft, the A400M transport, so important to Germany's whole defense posture that it needs this kind of urgent major investment?
Well, the A400M, sometimes called the Atlas, it's really, and this isn't an exaggeration, the absolute backbone of Germany's military transport capability. When we say backbone, what does that really mean? It means it's indispensable. Their entire logistical chain relies on it. It's not just about moving boxes. It's about Germany being able to, project power, sustain operations, whether that's at home, across Europe, or much further afield. These planes, they're designed for both strategic and tactical airlift. That means they can carry everything. Large numbers of troops, their gear, but also really heavy, oversized cargo. Think armored vehicles, helicopters, even big loads of humanitarian aid. They're crucial for rapid response, disaster relief, and absolutely critical for supporting troops deployed in tough environments. The sheer amount they can carry, weight and volume, plus they can operate from basic airstrips, rough, unpaved ones. That makes them incredibly versatile. And just to give you some context on the commitment Germany has to this plane, by 2018, the Luftwaffe already had 25 of them. That's part of a planned fleet of 50. So this isn't a small program. It shows a very deliberate, long-term strategic bet on these aircraft as fundamental tools for their military and, frankly, humanitarian goals, too. So any serious threat to these planes is a direct threat to Germany's ability to operate effectively, on the world stage.
It really makes you appreciate how fundamental these big lifters are, doesn't it? They are the lifeline. And for you listening, the question pops up. Why make such a heavy, seemingly urgent investment in self-defense specifically for a transport plane? What are the modern threats driving this kind of thinking? What makes these workhorses so vulnerable today? It's not the classic dogfight scenario we usually picture.
That's the critical point, and it really gets to the heart of how warfare has changed. Transport aircraft, even though they're not typically combat planes, they fly into, well, increasingly contested areas, unpredictable environments. Think about taking off or landing near active conflict zones. We're flying relatively low through areas where threats might be hidden. Unlike fighters, built for speed, agility, These big transports like the A400M, they're slower. They're less nimble. And honestly, they present a much larger target. Physically bigger, easier to see, easier to hit. Their size, plus the heat signature from those multiple powerful engines that makes them particularly vulnerable to infrared-guided missiles, heat seekers. And that's where we get really specific about the threat. MANPADS, man-portable air defense systems. These are the shoulder-fired, ground-launched missiles that home in on heat. They're relatively cheap. Unfortunately, they're widely available in many conflict zones across the globe. And crucially, they're very hard to spot before they're launched. Small, mobile, they lock onto the thermal energy coming off the aircraft engines. For a big plane like the A400M with 4 engines, that heat signature is like a big glowing sign saying target here. Then we've sadly seen in past conflicts, Iraq, Afghanistan, for example, just how dangerous MANPADS can be. Not just in military transports, but even civilian planes operating near airfields or flying low. So this investment, it's Germany saying, okay, we absolutely have to protect these essential logistics assets. It's not a nice to have, it's a necessity. It ensures they can safely get people and equipment where they need to be, when they need to be there, even if it's a high threat area. It's about maintaining freedom of action and fundamentally saving lives.
That paints a very clear picture of the danger, absolutely. Okay, now for the really fascinating part, the tech itself. This JM Music Suite. How do these directed infrared countermeasures, these DIRCM systems, actually work? How do they keep a plane safe from those heat-seeking threats? This is where it gets pretty cool for anyone interested in defense tech.
Right. The JM Music Suite is Elbit's specific version, a very advanced one, of a DIRCM system. To get the basic idea, think about a heat-seeking missile. It's not just a simple rocket. It has a guidance system, a seeker head, designed to find and lock onto infrared energy heat, usually from the engines, like a predator using heat vision to hunt. Once it's launched, that missile uses the heat to steer itself right to the target. Okay, so the DIRCM system, like JM Music, it's an active defense, it's intelligent, it detects an incoming missile, and these systems are sophisticated. They can spot multiple threats from different directions almost instantly. Once a threat is detected, the DIRCM system very quickly aims a concentrated beam of infrared energy, basically. A laser right at the missile's seeker head, its guidance system.
Ah, okay, so it targets the missile's eyes, so to speak.
Exactly. A good analogy is like shining a really powerful focused flashlight directly into someone's eyes when they're in a dark room. That sudden, intense light just completely overwhelms their vision, right? Blinds them temporarily. They can't focus on anything. It's the same principle for the missile. This laser beam saturates its seeker. It basically floods it with so much infrared energy that it can't distinguish the aircraft's actual heat signature anymore. The missile's guidance gets confused, it loses its lock, and boom, it veers off course. Usually crashes harmlessly somewhere else.
It's not just a dumb beam of light, though, is it? It sounds more sophisticated than that.
Oh, definitely. That's what's really advanced here. It's not just about blinding in a simple sense. We're talking about rapidly modulated lasers. The beam characteristics change constantly, and they're steered by these incredibly high-speed gimbaled turrets, little swiveling platforms that can track and engage multiple threats almost at the same time from pretty much any direction. The system has to be smart enough to tell the difference between a real missile threat and just background heat clutter, like, city lights or fires on the ground. And it all has to happen in microseconds. Detection, tracking, firing the laser, because these missiles are moving fast. This active jamming is a huge step up from older countermeasures like flares. Flares just sort of, scatter heat sources, hoping to confuse the missile. It's passive. DIRCM is precise. It's proactive. And it's proven incredibly effective against modern infrared threats, especially those MANPADS that are such a danger to planes flying lower or near conflict zones.
That analogy about overwhelming the missile's eyes really helps clarify the speed and precision involved. It really is a high-tech cat-and-mouse game. So given how critical this tech is, how complex it sounds, what about its track record? Is this relatively new stuff? Or have systems like J-Music actually been proven in the real world?
That's a really important question, because reliability is everything in defense. And Elbit makes a point of saying their DIRCM solutions, including different versions of J-Music, are operationally deployed globally on a wide range of aircraft, both military and even some commercial or governmental ones. So no, this isn't some unproven lab bench technology. That phrase, operationally deployed globally, means these systems have been fitted onto all sorts of planes, big transports, government VIP jets, probably smaller stuff too. And crucially, they've been through rigorous testing, not just simulations, but in actual operational conditions. They've been out there in environments where there are real threats, and they've shown they work. They're robust.
So that history must be a big factor for a country like Germany making this choice.
Absolutely. It massively reduces the risk. When you're spending $260 million to protect essential military aircraft and the lives on board, you need confidence. You need to know it's going to work when it counts. The fact that numerous governments, including some very advanced air forces around the world, are using these systems, well, that speaks volumes. It tells you about their reliability, their proven capability. It basically signals to everyone that these systems are considered top tier, maybe even the gold standard for airborne self-protection right now.
Okay, so this big $260 million deal for the A400Ms, it isn't actually Germany's first time buying Elbit's JM music system, is it? You mentioned they'd used it before.
That's right, you picked up on that. And it's a really crucial piece of context. This isn't a one-off purchase for Germany. There was a significant earlier buy that really highlights their strategy here. Elbit Systems Deutschland, that's their German subsidiary, they actually got an order back on December 23, 2024, so not that long before this A400M deal. That earlier contract was from Lufthansa Technik, the big maintenance and engineering company, and it was to put the exact same JM Music defense system onto the German government's own Airbus A350 aircraft. Those are the planes used for transporting top officials, like, the chancellor or ministers.
Right, so first the VIP government transports, the A350s, and now the military workhorses, the A400Ms, both getting the same JM music system. What does that consistency, that repeat business, tell us about Germany's procurement strategy, maybe about their relationship with Elbit? It feels like more than just buying off the shelf.
Oh, it tells us a lot. And there are layers to it. First, it clearly shows continuity, a deliberate, long-term approach in how Germany is modernizing. They're not just grabbing different bits of tech, they're systematically upgrading key air assets with a consistent solution they trust. Choosing JA Music again demonstrates, as the reports say, a reliance on proven technology and existing relationships. It's not just that the tech works, it's about the trust built with Elbit, the interoperability, maybe logistical familiarity too.
Does that offer practical advantages too, having the same system on different planes?
Definitely. Think about it. It potentially streamlines training for the air crews, for the ground support teams who maintain it. It probably simplifies managing spare parts and logistics. You're dealing with one core system across multiple important fleets. It helps create a more unified, cohesive approach to self-protection for their high-value aircraft. It also suggests a very pragmatic approach to modernization. They're prioritizing safety and operational continuity for both government travel and military logistics. In a world with growing threats, standardizing on a system that's highly effective and that they already know makes a lot of strategic sense. It cuts risk, boosts readiness. It really reflects a mindset focused on efficiency and proven capability.
And what's really interesting, as you said, is this isn't just a Germany-Israel thing. It seems to be part of a much bigger global picture. Elbit isn't just a player here. They seem to be a genuine world leader in DIRCM tech. What does that wide adoption, that global trust, really imply?
That's a key observation. Elbit's position in the DRCM market is pretty commanding. Like we noted, their systems are operationally deployed globally. This isn't a niche capability anymore. It's high-demand technology. If you look at who's buying it, it's governments, air forces, defense ministries all over. Beyond Germany, you've got their home country, Israel, obviously with vast operational experience, but also major NATO allies like the Netherlands and Italy, and big regional players like Brazil. That's a diverse customer base.
So what does that global spread tell us?
Well, several things. First, it undeniably cements Elbit as a market leader in a very specialized, very demanding field. When multiple advanced militaries choose your system, it's a huge validation of its effectiveness, its reliability, its adaptability to different needs and conditions. But maybe more importantly, it points to a shared, urgent recognition across all these different nations. They all see the threat from infrared missiles as serious and evolving. The fact that so many are turning to Elbit's solutions suggests a kind of global consensus on their ability to protect vital aircraft. It really highlights this universal need for advanced self-protection on almost any aircraft that might fly near contested airspace. Not just fighters anymore. It's fundamentally about managing risk, keeping operations going, and protecting lives and incredibly valuable assets. It really shows how battle-proven tech can cross political lines when the need is clear.
Okay, so let's try and connect all these threads. If we look at the bigger picture, what are the really critical implications of this specific deal? For Germany's military modernization, yes, but also for the wider geopolitical chessboard. It feels like it signals something important.
Absolutely. This JM Music deal for the A400Ms has quite a few significant ripple effects. First, and most obviously, it dramatically boosts the survivability of Germany's most important military transport planes. These are the planes moving troops, gear, supplies. Keeping them safe is fundamental for any major military operation, any humanitarian mission, any deployment abroad. So this purchase is a very clear sign of continued German defense investment, a real commitment to modernizing their forces.
And is this part of a bigger trend we're seeing in Germany or even Europe?
Yes, I think it fits into that broader context. Germany, which for a long time was perhaps more cautious on defense spending, is clearly making the protection of its core logistics and power projection capabilities a high priority now. This move really aligns with that wider push across Europe we've seen recently, increased defense budgets, a focus on readiness. It shows Germany is proactively adapting to the current and expected future threats. They're not just reacting, they're strategically investing to build a more resilient, more capable military that's ready for a wider range of scenarios. It's a foundational step for their operational freedom and safety.
And what about the international partnership side? You mentioned the repeat business with Elbit. Does this signal something deeper about the Germany-Israel defense relationship? Buying such critical tech from them again?
You're right to focus on that. It's a vital aspect. Buying this kind of critical, sensitive defense technology repeatedly from an Israeli company like Elbit, it definitely highlights ongoing, strong defense cooperation. And yes, probably a deepening strategic trust between Germany and Israel. Look, this isn't just picking a product off a shelf. It signals a robust strategic partnership. Germany is explicitly relying on Israeli innovation, on their proven technology, to secure its own vital military assets. We know the history between the two nations is complex, but in defense and security, you see this very pragmatic, strong alliance emerging, driven by shared challenges and technological needs.
So it's about more than just the hardware.
For sure. This kind of tech sharing, this collaborative procurement, it's increasingly how modern defense alliances work. It lets countries tap into specialized expertise, into systems that have already proven themselves in combat, without having to reinvent the wheel themselves, which is hugely expensive and takes a long time. It can streamline procurement, maybe boost interoperability if allies use similar systems, and ultimately it strengthens the collective defense posture of friendly nations. It really shows how technical skill and operational trust can build strong ties, sometimes stronger than just political agreements, based on mutual security needs. It's about finding proven solutions in a very complex world.
That really makes you think, doesn't it? How alliances and tech sharing aren't just about deals, but are actively shaping how militaries operate, what they can do. It's like the threats themselves are forcing closer cooperation.
Precisely. And this J Music deal for the A400M, especially coming after the A350 one, it drives home a crucial point. Sophisticated self-defense is now vital for all types of aircraft in modern conflict, not just the pointy-nosed jets. The threat from ground-launched missiles, those MANPADS especially, is persistent. It's evolving. It means even transport aircraft, ones carrying troops, delivering aid, doing the heavy lifting, they absolutely need advanced protection now. Their vulnerability, especially during takeoff and landing near potential hotspots, it just demands strong countermeasures.
So it's a fundamental shift in thinking, protection for everyone.
I think so. It's no longer just the job of the combat planes to worry about missiles. Any air asset flying into a potentially contested area needs to be able to defend itself. This deal is Germany clearly saying, we get this new reality, and we're committed to ensuring our entire airborne fleet can survive, unquote. By doing that, they're protecting their ability to operate, their flexibility for whatever comes next. It's about building a resilient force that can function where it needs to, recognizing that threats can come from anywhere now, targeting even the logistical backbone.
Which brings us back to that initial question, really. As these air defenses, like DIRCM, get more sophisticated, how does that affect the balance between the offensive missiles trying to hit the target and the defensive tech trying to stop them? Especially for these critical logistics planes, it feels like a constant back and forth, a tech arms race.
It absolutely is that dynamic, and that's maybe the most compelling thought to leave everyone with today. You have this constant evolution. Missile technology gets smarter, seekers become harder to jam, maybe they use multiple ways to track, and at the same time, defensive systems like DIRCM get better too, faster response, more powerful lasers, maybe using different parts of the light spectrum, smarter algorithms. It's this incredibly high-stakes race.
And the A400M is right in the middle of it.
Exactly. Being able to reliably protect these critical logistics platforms, the A400Ms for Germany, that's absolutely fundamental for any nation wanting to operate effectively over distances or sustain forces in the field. As these defenses get better at blinding missiles, you can bet the missile designers are already working on countermeasures, seekers that ignore the jamming or use different methods entirely. That balance is always shifting. It's pushed by R&D, by funding, by intelligence, and unfortunately by lessons learned in actual combat. So the really profound question for the future is, can defensive tech keep pace? Or even stay slightly ahead, especially when it comes to protecting the very planes that allow a military to deploy and support itself globally. The answer to that question will shape air power for years to come, and it determines just how vulnerable those vital logistical lifelines will be in the next conflict. It's a constant evolution, high stakes, every single advance matters.
Thank you for your time and participation in this essential briefing from the Global WarWatch Network. Today, we've really dug into Germany's significant $260 million deal with Elbit Systems for their A400M transports, fitting them with the JM Music DIRCM suite. We explored why these systems are so critical now and what it all means for Germany and global defense. If you found this discussion valuable, please do like, share, and subscribe to Global WarWatch Network for more in-depth analyses like this one. We'd also love to hear your thoughts and questions, so please share them in the comment section below. And you can join us on our social media platforms too. All the links are right there in the description.